Hello and welcome. In this video I'm going to complete a series of tasks for MPLS on OcNOS devices. The task is as follows. Change the configuration on the network. I'm going to show you what the configuration was so that you can understand what we were doing here. And now we can change it accordingly. It says that provide MPLS L3 VPN service to customer Globetrotter. And then it says use ISIS as the PC routing protocol. Now, OcNOS devices kind of support all the standard routing protocol, including ISIS. So, in a previous video, what I have done is as follows. Let me just take my pen so that you can see everything more clear. So, my router 1 is a PE here for MPLS, and also router 5 is a PE, which I have configured it here. These three routers, router 2, 3, 4, are my MPLS routers, but they don't have any BGP. So we can call this a BGP-free core network here. Now, what I have done, aside from this, I have configured OSPF as my routing protocol here, and OSPF as routing protocol here, of course in a previous video, which I encourage you to check this out. And what I have done before that was I configured BGP as my CE routing protocol. But let's say that OSPF is the current one, which I'm going to change it. What I needed to do is to have a redistribution into this BGP network from OSPF and back from BGP to OSPF, of course. Why? Because OSPF prefixes are going to be advertised into BGP. BGP is going to take it to the other P, and from there I need to redistribute it back to OSPF. And the same thing, of course, is going to happen in the other direction. So this is a two-way redistribution. Now what I'm going to do is to use ISIS instead of OSPF. Do I have to have ISIS on both sides? No, of course. I can have OSPF on both sides, I can have BGP on both sides, I can have ISIS on both sides, but I can have a routing protocol on the right and another routing protocol on the left. Doesn't really have to be the same. So what I'm going to do is to remove this OSPF, and I'm going to say ISIS is running here, but OSPF is going to run on the other side, and later, of course, I'm going to run ISIS on both sides of the network. Now, ISIS, of course, is one of those routing protocols which is best suited for service providers, but of course, customers could use this protocol as well. So I have to show you how everything is working here. I'm going to show you the configuration of router 1. Router 5, of course, follows the same trend for the configuration. So if I just go to router 1, I'm going to say show run router OSPF. This is my current OSPF configuration. And also router BGP. This is my current BGP configuration. There is a VRF in the name of GT configured for Globetrotter. And you can see that OSPF runs under process 1 under VRF GT, and it redistributes BGP. Because this is under this VRF, it only redistributes everything from VRF GT. The same things happens, of course, under router BGP. You can see that I have this address family for this specific VRF. And when it says redistribute OSPF 1, it will redistribute only from OSPF process under Globetrotter. And the BGP configuration that I have doesn't have any IPv4 address family for IPGP connections. The only thing that I have is VPN v4, and this is necessary because I'm running MPLS networking here, and I just want to make sure that all the routes from one side can reach to the other side and vice versa. Okay, so let's do the configuration here. I'm going to remove OSPF on router 12, and I'm going to convert it to ISIS. So let's go to router 12. This is my current OSPF configuration. So I'm going to say configure terminal, no router OSPF 1, no router OSPF 1, of course. And then I'm going to say router ISIS, and the name of this could be whatever that you want to have. Let's say GT. or you can just say rather ISIS and that's it. Okay, under ISIS, net value is going to be important. So I'm going to say net value is 49, 0, 0, and let's say the area ID is 12. Okay, and then 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, and 0, 0. This is the net value. Or let's say that the area ID is something like, I don't know, 1. I can configure anything here. It doesn't really matter. And now that I have done this, I can just say that this is L1, L2, or L2 only. Because this is going to be a configuration between different areas, because I'm going to configure rather one in another domain actually, and area ID is going to be different, this has to run L2 as well. But other routers which are connected to this could run only L1, and that would be okay. In this case, of course, I'm just going to say L1, L2 is going to be the default, and I'm not going to touch anything here. Now, the interfaces which I'm going to have under this ISIS process is going to be interface loopback. So I'm going to say IP router ISIS and GT. And interface each one, of course, the same thing. I'm going to say commit, and this is going to be done here. There is a problem. It says that the net format is misconfigured, and you can see that there is an extra digit here. Instead of 3, I have 4. I'm going to fix it. So I'm going to go back to router ISIS GT, and I'm going to say no to this, but yes to this. I'm going to remove this extra digit here. Then I'm going to commit the configuration. Here it says that invalid net format, so let's just say show transaction current, and you can see that I still have this no net value. This is funny because now it is asking me that there is something that I need to remove, and it doesn't remove this. So let's do this. I'm going to abort the transaction, and I'm going to run the transaction one more time. So I'm going to say this, and then this, and then the rest of these, of course, could be pasted here, and then commit should go without any problem. Great. Let us go back to router 1 and do the configuration. What I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to say no router OSPF1. I'm removing this. First of all, I'm going to say show run interface E6, which is important. Under interface E6, I'm going to add it to router ISIS, and the name of the router, of course, is going to be OE, and hit enter. I'm going to commit it. Here it says that cannot enable ISIS for process with mismatched VRF. Do we have any ISIS configuration prior to this? So I'm going to say show run router ISIS, and it says that there is an internal ISIS configuration that we have, and it doesn't have any VRF here. So that is the problem. I shouldn't add this to OE. I should add it to something else. So what I'm going to say is abort the transaction, and I'm going to say IP router ISIS, let's say GT, and I'm going to have this here under interface E6, and then this is going to be okay if I just commit this. So another ISIS process is created for me. So if I just go and say show run router ISIS, you can see that GT is not there, so I need to do it. So I'm going to exit and say router ISIS GT. But before this, before hitting enter, what I need to do is to say there is a VRF name which I need to associate with this, because VRF is part of this, and I'm going to say the name of the VRF is GT as well. This first GT, this is the name of the process. The second GT, this is the name of the VRF. So this first one doesn't matter what it is. The second one is very important. And it doesn't have anything to do with what I have configured here. This is just local significance. So whatever you do here doesn't really matter. Going back to router 1, I'm going to say the net value is going to be 49. Let's say that the area number is 15. It's not 15 as a matter of fact. It's going to be 15 because what we are doing here is using hexadecimal values. But anyway, 0015, 0000, 0000, 0001. This is the ID for that, and then 00 for the last part. And I'm not touching the level type, so that's going to be L1, L2 as well. But because these are in different areas, so the only kind of connection that they are going to have is going to be L2. So I'm going to say commit. Okay, so let me just show you the configuration so that we have no confusion. So show run, rather ISIS, and specifically for this GT, or let's say show run ISIS. The second one, of course, is for internal service provider, so I don't really do anything about this one. But this one is for what we have created between the CE and PE, and also show run interface EAT6. We have put this under this specific ISIS process. Now I'm going to save the configuration, and I'm going to say show CLNS neighbors, and now you can see that I have an adjacency. Of course, this is for internal service provider. This one is for GT. As you can see, we have this configured here. And I didn't configure dynamic host name, and this is why you just see the ID of the other side, not what you really want to see as the name. I'm going to configure this as a matter of fact with that, but after that we need to do some kind of a redistribution. So let's go to configuration, and router 12, of course, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go back to router ISIS GT, and I'm going to say dynamic host name and commit this configuration. Okay, this one is done, and on router 1 I'm going to go back to my ISIS configuration, which is this one, and I'm going to say dynamic host name. But redistribution is going to be important in this case. I'm going to say redistribute BGP, and that's it. I'm not going to touch anything else. I'm just saying redistribute BGP. Now I'm going to say show run rather BGP. I'm going to remove this redistribute OSPF, but replace it with ISIS. So I'm going to go under BGP 100 under this specific VRF. I'm going to say no redistribute OSPF 1, but redistribute ISIS, and that's it. Hit enter. And because this is under this VRF, it will understand that the only ISIS process which is going to be changed, redistributed, is going to be that one. So I'm going to say commit. Okay. So everything seems to be finished. One side ISIS, one side OSPF, no problem. So let's do this. Previously, this is my routing table on OSPF. Now I'm going to check this one more time. Show IP route. I can see every route here on R12. I'm going to say end. Let's save the configuration. Show IP route. I can see every route from the other side, so no problem. Here we have ISIS, the other side is OSPF. Now, can I have ISIS on both sides? Of course. Can you have one side configured with one routing protocol, the other side configured with another routing protocol? Of course, no problem. But I'm not going to do that because that's going to be redundant, and you can just configure it for yourself and see the effect. The last thing is a ping from 12 from to 13, 13, 13, 13 from 12, 12, 12, 12. And the ping goes through without any problem. And because we have redistributed the connected network, as you can see here, even if I do not use the source, the interface IP address is going to be used and the ping goes through. No problem. The configuration is done. The task is complete. I hope this has been informative for you, and see you in next videos.